Hello everyone, my name is Himanshu Sharma, and in this video we will go through interceptor and filter concepts in a Spring application. So let's get started and let's head to the Spring Initializer website. Over here we will be selecting Maven. Let's change the group, and here we say interceptor filter demo. We will take Java 17, and in dependency we just take Spring Web. That's all we need. Let's go ahead and generate the application. Open the code in your favorite IDE. Here I'm using IntelliJ, and you can see we just have one dependency, Spring Web. So let's first create a controller. For that, let's add a package controller and let's name it test controller. Alright, and here we'll say rest controller, and then let's create method get hello, and it will return hello, and let's make it a get endpoint. And now let's head to the application properties, and here we say spring output dot and say enabled equals always. So it have no impact in your functionality, it's just that it will give a nice color to our logging. So here, and let's do one more thing, let's add a logger also. So we say logger factory dot get logger and test controller dot class, we say logger log, say private static final, and then just input the class, and here say log.info, and here we are going to say inside get hello method of test controller. Alright, let's run our application. You can see here the logs, it's coming in colors, it's only because of this. If I comment this out, it will just give me plain white color. So our application is started, and let's open up browser. Okay, and hit our endpoint, which is hello. So we are getting the response back, and we should have a log also. Yes. Alright, so now this is a simple controller with a get endpoint. Okay, and it's responding as expected. So now let's say you have a requirement, and let's say you have multiple endpoints. So let me add one more endpoint over here, and let's say hi. Okay, and let's write it like this. So I will say get hi method, and this one will return hi. So now I have two endpoints, and let's restart the application once. Okay, and what we are trying to do is we have multiple endpoints, and now we want something to be considered common for these endpoints. So let's say if you want to log something which should be common for all the endpoints my application is exposing. So let's check our new endpoint. Hi, this is also working, and we are getting the log also. Right, so one way of doing that is like I have to add that common log. Let's say I want to add that common log, so I will say that okay, log.info common log, and then I do the same thing in all the endpoints, which doesn't look good and it's actually a redundant code. Instead, what we can do is we can create a interceptor, and what interceptor will do is whenever the request come, it will first intercept that request, and before handing that request to your controller. So let's go ahead and create an interceptor. So for that we say interceptor, and we say new class test interceptor. Alright, and then we say implements, and we say handler interceptor. Now if I go to this handler interceptor, there are three methods: pre-handler, post-handler, after completion. So we can copy all these three and we can paste it over here, and let's do slight refactoring. Let's make them public, okay, and then let's add a logger for this file. So we say logger factory dot get logger test interceptor dot class logger log, and then again can say this, and then we see log dot info, and inside pre-handle method. So basically interceptor provide you different methods which will be executed before or after your controller process, and accordingly you can use these interceptors as per your requirement. So right now what I am trying to do is I am trying to put certain logs to get an idea when these methods get invoked. Okay, and then here we are going to say it's a component, okay, so that it can be managed by Spring. Now to activate this interceptor we need to create one more configuration. So let's create a package config, and here we say test config, and in this we are going to implement web MVC configurer. Again let's get to this one, web MVC configurer, and over here we can see this method add interceptors. So we need this one, so we copy and then again we paste it over here, and since it's going to be a configuration, so we say configuration. Alright, and then we have the interceptor, so create a reference variable of interceptor, and now create the constructor of test config so that we can inject the test interceptor. We can say this test interceptor like this. Alright, that's all we need. And then in add interceptors we are going to use this registry, and we say add interceptor and add our custom interceptor over here. Alright, so that's all is needed to configure the interceptors. So now let's run our application again. So application is started. Now let's hit the endpoint. So let's say we hit the high endpoint again, and you can see over here first the pre-handle method of the interceptor invoked. Okay, then our controller method invoked, and after that post handle method, and finally after completion method. So accordingly you can use these methods as per your convenience. I'm using it for logging right now, but if you have any other requirement which you want to handle it collectively for all your controllers, you can do that as part of interceptor. So let's see if this will work for the other endpoint. So let's say hello, and you can see over here, right, the pre handle invoked, then the get hello, then post handle, and then after completion. Now here you can see we have these requests and responses, right? So we might be tempted that okay, this is a post handle method, that means it is getting invoked after our business logic of the controller. So let's say I want to add a custom header in the response. So let's say I am already getting servlet response. So let's say response dot add header, and we say custom header, and then we say custom value. Okay, now before restarting the application, let me show you the current behavior. So let's open the developer tool in the Chrome. Let's make the request, and here you can see we are getting only these response headers: connection, content length, content type, date, and keep alive. Now our expectation is that in the response, now this new header should also get added along with this value. Okay, so let's restart our application. Alright, our application is started, and now let's hit the request, and you can see our custom headers did not come up over here, and the reason is here these are actually read-only objects, so you can't add headers in the interceptor. You can do other work, but you will not be able to customize these objects, and for that filter comes into picture. So now let's remove this one from here. Okay, and now let's create a filter. For that, let's create a package filter, and here I will say class test filter, and filter will implement filter. Make sure you are using the Jakarta servlet if you are working on Java 17 or above. If it is before Java 17, you might be getting Java X servlet. Alright, again add the unimplemented method, and the one we need is this one, do filter. So we select this one. Alright, and let's mark it as a component so it can be managed by Spring. And here we are getting the servlet response. So first thing we have to do is, if you check the servlet response, you will not be getting that add header option over here, right? Because that is part of HTTP servlet response. So let's cast it into HTTP servlet response. Alright, and say this one, and then in this response you will get the header option. Now we say custom header, and then we say custom value, And how we are going to add this to our response is we will use this filter chain. So we say filter chain, then do filter, and here we are going to pass the same servlet request. We haven't modified anything over there, and then we are going to send this response. Okay, now let's restart our application. So in case of filter, you just need to add this implement filter or do filter definition and mark it as a Spring managed, and that's it. You don't need the web MVC configurer. That is required only for Interceptor. So if you look at the test config, here we are not doing anything with the filter. For filter, you have a standalone class for this. That's it. Okay, so application is started. Let's hit the endpoint and check. And yes, now we are getting our custom header, custom value. All right. Now let's say in your controller, let's head to your controller, and let's say you have a get high method. Instead of returning string, let's do one thing. Let us add the string response entity basically, and here in the response entity we are adding the message, and okay, and then http status dot okay. So what we are trying to do over here is we are going to create the http headers. Okay, and then headers dot add, and we say custom controller. Okay, and we say controller value, right? And then finally we are passing these headers. So for high, what we are doing is our controller is already passing the some custom headers from its earlier implementation. So even in this case also we should not be worried, because what is going to happen is these the filter one will not override them. In fact, whatever headers you have added over here and whatever headers you have already added in your controller, they both will be added in your response. Okay, so now let's hit the high response and the high endpoint. Now if I click over here, and you can see I am getting the controller also, and I am also getting the filter one. All right, so that's how it is, and you can stop the application now and we can quickly revisit. So first thing we did was we created a controller, okay, and we have two endpoints exposed, and our initial requirement is to have some kind of common area which can we have some common activity basically that needs to be done for all the exposed endpoints, and for that we use the interceptor. So in our case the activity is to log some statements. Okay, so that's how our test interceptor comes into picture. Now second thing, we try to change the response headers, but we are not able to achieve it through interceptor. Instead we have the filter for that, and then we use the test filter to add custom headers in our response. For configuring the filter, you just need to have it marked as a Spring Bean and implement the filter. That's all. And for the interceptor, you need to implement the handler interceptor, override the methods, and then finally configure it using a configuration class like test config, which is implementing WebMVC configurer, and then refer the add interceptor methods. So these are basically overriding the WebMVC configurer. Okay. And one small thing we did was we enable the coloring in our logs. So yeah, so that's all in this video, and I will share the GitHub link for this one. And yeah, it's a short one, so thanks for watching. Thank you everyone. If you have any suggestions or feedback, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you and have a nice day.